1980, The Shining. In this film, it's a thriller/horror. Having a mix between both genres attracts a wider audience as it tells us that it won't be too scary as it's not just classed as a horror film. This film is based on its camera work. There are a lot of close-ups, cuts and tracking shots to emphasize the scenes and create suspense as the scene builds up to what's about to happen. When we compare this to the films we have today, the camera work is a lot more clever in modern films, but for the time The Shining was filmed, it was very skilled. When we compare the editing in this film to The Purge, we can see that it isn't as sharp and precise, along with the quality, as in the 80s old equipment was used. 2013, The Purge. This is another horror/thriller film, but from a more recent time, which means we can compare the way this film is made with The Shining. They each have a completely different storyline, but when we look at the sound and camera work, there are similarities as they are the same genre. The Purge is more clever through the way it's made and the tension is built up. The editing is more precise in speed and quality. The quality of The Shining is quite old and isn't clear as The Purge, as it has high definition. They couldn't use this technique back in the 80s as they hadn't discovered the technology yet. A similarity between The Shining and The Purge is that they are both a horror/thriller film, but each storyline is very different, as The Purge is about making crime legal for 24 hours and The Shining is about a couple going to a hotel with their son where a murder happens, getting haunted/possessed.
Psycho, the year 2000. American Psycho is about a wealthy New York bank executive who hides a psychopathic ego from his co-workers, lovers, and has a deep, violent fantasies about them. In this film, the camera shots, sound, and costumes are used differently compared to other thriller films. The music used in this film at the beginning is calm and peaceful, as he's doing his morning routine, which is also non-diegetic. However, when Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen, the song Hip to Be Square plays in the background. This song is joyful and fun to listen to, but it doesn't fit in with the scene. Contrapuntal and parallel music is used to create a sense of tension, also shocks the audience, as well as they don't expect a death scene. On top of that, non-diegetic music is used to represent the higher class people, and with the use of open music, focuses on how society is presented in the film. Normally in thriller films, they use a wide range of parallel music, also with few scenes of non-diegetic music. In this thriller film, there are specific camera shots which are used to focus our mind on the main character. Camera shots such as point of view shot, mid shot, and wide shot to view his facial expressions when talking to other people. This is the typical camera shots used in the thriller films, as it can create suspense and tension throughout the film. Finally, the costumes used in this film are expensive brand name suits with fresh haircuts. This makes the characters look important and well looked after. In addition, American Psycho uses some typical thriller conventions by using camera shots, costumes and sound, although some features in this film, such as storyline, has a plot twist, which normally older thriller films wouldn't normally use. Psycho, 1960. Psycho is an Alfred Hitchcock film, which is about a secretary who takes $40,000 from an employee and goes out to hide at a remote hotel, but the hotel is run by a young man under the dominance of his mother. This film uses a wide range of camera shots, sound and costumes. Firstly, there's an establishing shot used at the beginning of the film. To set the scene, it shows a city, which isn't a typical setting of a thriller film, as it's normally set in an isolated, dark area. There's also mid-shots and close-ups, which show the character's facial expressions in the film. Furthermore, there's over-the-shoulder shot used on Norman Bates, and it shows a different personality of him. He soon becomes more of an important character in this film just by that shot. In the majority of thriller films, this draws the audience into who the character is. On top of that, it creates tension and atmosphere, making the audience to wonder what's going to happen next. Also, there's a close-up shot in the shower scene, overshadowing the character's face with the background light. It leaves the audience to wonder who the killer is, and this creates more of a dramatic and theatrical shot. The sound used in Psycho uses a wide range of parallel music to make the scene, to make the film more serious and brings pressure on the characters throughout the film. On top of that, the music used in the shower scene was frantic and fast-paced, although in other scenes in the film there's a lack of music used which can establish the mood of the film and focus on the characters showed in the scenes. Finally, the characters wear normal casual clothes to show they are ordinary people. Therefore, Alfred Hitchcock prefers to use suspense and tension in the majority of his films, also likes to surprise the audience. Many directors use suspense over surprise, and their plots are often similar to each other.
1975 Jaws. In this film it shows what resources, effects and equipment they had to use in the 70s to make the film look as realistic as possible. It was a huge hit in its time as the audience had no knowledge of what we have today. When we compare it to the thriller films made today, we can see that what they used to film the gore action between the shark and humans is very unrealistic. Comparing this film to Goodfellas, the storylines are completely different, but the one thing they have in common is the genre and making the film quite scary. With camera shots, there are a lot of cuts to show what's happening, close-ups and tracking shots to emphasise the scene. The editing is quite slow as of when the film was made, but it is clear. 1990 Goodfellas. In the film Goodfellas, it uses the typical conventions a thriller film would normally use. From costumes, camera shots and sound, the character Martin uses different techniques to make this film unique. To start off with, Martin uses different camera shots to express the emotions and feelings of the characters throughout the film. For instance, the tracking shot through the restaurant is a long take. This long take shows how the character Henry has control and power over certain people by tipping staff and joking around with various different people. Furthermore, there's various close and mid shots in the film to express Henry's emotions and feelings in this thriller film. However, as he's a gangster, he's acting fearless and manly. On the other hand, there's a different side of costumes used in the film, like fresh tailored styled shirts. Gangsters would normally dress smart and would want to impress many people or even intimidate them. Also, there's many songs used in Goodfellas to establish that this film is set in the 80s. Also, there's non-diegetic sound occurring when the song Then He Kissed Me is playing over in the background. Overall, Martin uses similar conversations as most thriller films. However, he uses it in a different way to most directors.